The Louie T Network is powered by MusicHead University. MusicHeads, classes in session. Turn me up. Enroll on YouTube now. Link is in the description.
Who else could it be but me, your man, Louie T? Welcome to the Command Post Live. You know what it is. Post up. Take command. I, of course, am your Commander-in-Chief, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. So, as you can see, I'm donning an awful lot of black today. Not all black. I'm not dressed in all black like the Omen, but it's damn close. That's because we don't know all of the details quite yet. And there is some good news, right? So, quick story. When I was a kid, I would come home from school every 2 months or so, maybe 3. And there would be this great aroma coming from the kitchen. My mom was in the kitchen and she was cooking up something that smelled delicious. And I'd go into the kitchen thinking, oh my God, whatever mom's cooking, this is going to be great. And I'd ask her, what's for dinner, Ma? And she'd say, liver. If you've never had liver, don't. It is the most disgusting thing I've ever eaten in my life. That and beets. But that's another discussion for another day. So I've got liver and I've got dessert. Let's get the damn liver out of the way, okay? Let's get that shit out of the way so we can get to the dessert, right? So let's get the liver out of the way. And that liver is Terry McLaurin potentially beginning a holdout. Now, we don't have the details here. He could have been under the weather today. He could have had some family obligation as to why he didn't show up. There could be a number of various reasons as to why he wasn't in attendance at one of the final days of phase 2 of OTA minis, right? Excuse me. So I don't want to jump the gun here, but this is via Jordan Schultz, who writes, Commanders All-Pro wide receiver Terry McLaurin was not at practice today as off-season workouts continue. He had been a full participant previously and is entering the final year of his contract. Worth monitoring as phase 3 of Washington's program kicks off in a week's time. He then goes on to remind us of the dog that Terry is and has been throughout his career. Terry McLaurin is coming off of his second Pro Bowl season, finishing with 82 catches, almost 1,100 yards, and 13 touchdowns. He's topped 1,000 yards receiving in 5 straight seasons. So, is Terry beginning a holdout? It feels like an odd time for him to do so, right? There's only 2 days left, today and tomorrow, of phase 2. I was going to talk about that on a Thursday night because we would have been wrapping up phase 2 basically on Thursday, right? So I was going to bring it up, talk about, we're heading into phase 3, yada, yada, yada. Feels like an odd time to start a holdout. Maybe he just wasn't feeling well. Maybe he had a family obligation to attend to. Don't know. Don't know the particulars of the situation. As Jordan Schultz pointed out, he is entering the final year of his contract. And I did tell you guys, deadline spur action. I still believe this doesn't get done until July. And if that is the case, we could see a Terry McLaurin hold out or hold in, right? I mean, he's done this in the past. This is a tactic that players use. I don't blame them, right? Because if something happens to him at one of these OTAs, he's not going to be compensated for it. They're not going to say, well, on good faith, because you showed up here, we're still going to give you a 4-year, $110 million extension. We're still going to do that. That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works, right? So I don't blame him if this is, in fact, the beginning stages of a holdout. I don't know if that's the case. Only time will tell, right? If he shows up tomorrow, all of this is a moot point and we move on with our lives. If he doesn't show up tomorrow, and this is the beginning of a holdout, then I need Adam Peters and company to get this shit done before July. It's going to get done. I'm not tripping because I know they value Terry McLaurin, and I know they understand that they have to pay. This is not optional. If you do not pay Terry McLaurin, then we have a problem. They understand that. This is a smart group. I don't worry about the things that don't require brain cells with this organization anymore, right? This doesn't require brain cells to understand the importance of Terry McLaurin, why he needs to be here, and why he needs to be paid in a locker room of guys watching your every move as you just got here a year ago, right? I don't need to explain to you that, and they don't need to explain to us what they're waiting on. They're going to get it done. Nothing they've done to this point has been negligent. Not a single thing, right? Even to those of you who think they should have done something at edge rusher, even that hasn't been negligent. They've attacked the position. May not have been the way you would have liked them to do it, but they've attacked the position. Is it enough? We'll see. Don't know. Maybe they will add someone. Maybe they won't. But they feel like they've added enough. So this is only worth noting if Terry doesn't show up tomorrow or shows up but isn't participating and he's officially beginning his holdout. That moves the clock up. And again, they don't have to do anything right now. We're going into the final phase of OTAs, right? Which is the biggest phase, phase 3. If you're going to miss any phases, miss phase 1 and phase 2. But we really would like you to participate in phase 3. If he's not going to be willing to participate in phase 3, it could push them to get something done earlier. Something must have triggered Terry, right? I don't know if his, and again, this is assuming, let's just assume that this liver that we're consuming right now, which is disgusting, let's just assume that it is true and that Terry is beginning the stages of a holdout. Maybe he had a deadline that he and his representation set. Well, if we don't hear more from them, this is what our plan of action is moving forward. Again, a weird date, I think, random in nature, right? Why not just wait until the end of phase 2 and say, hey, if we're not making progress by the time phase 3 starts, I'm going to sit that one out, right? Again, not my decision, but for the sake of this argument, let's say that that's what's going on. Something must have triggered him, I believe. And that could be something as simple as the communication hasn't been where we need it to be, or the number that they're talking about and the number that we're talking about isn't close. Something triggered him. We went from all smiles and catching passes from Jayden Daniels just 2 days ago to not showing up. And again, this could be all for naught, and Terry could have a doctor's note. He could have a note from mommy tomorrow that says his tummy hurt and he had to sit out practice and he's back tomorrow. We'll see. Either way, I'm here to tell you that I'm not concerned. Neither should you, because they're going to re-sign Terry McLaurin. This is not going to turn into a thing. The most it turns into is a staring contest that lasts into July. Nothing happens until September that we care about. And I mean, technically speaking, nothing happens that we truly care about until the middle to latter stages of July. And it'll get done before then. That's the deadline. That's what I've been telling you all along. And I said, I hope they get it done sooner than July, but they don't have to do anything until then. Nobody wants contractual situations to drag into the season. So I surmise they'll take care of it by then. But the last group used to wait till July. That doesn't mean this group has to. They've already taken care of guys like John Bates and Sam Cosmi. Now, Sam bled into the season, if you recall, before they took care of him. That's a little different. They had just gotten here, et cetera, et cetera. They've been here for a full year. They know Terry. They know his work habits. They know what he means to this organization. I don't understand why waiting would make sense. I think they take care of him prior to training camp. But again, I digress. So it'll get done. You have nothing to worry about. I promise it'll get done. We just hope it doesn't come with a full-blown, OTA holdout. If it does, it does. Nobody's going to care, honestly, as long as he gets his money and he gets his contract. Terry McLaurin is a commander for life. He's like Mike Evans. He's not going anywhere. He should start his career here. He should finish his career here. This might not be his final contract here, to be honest with you. Just depends on what it looks like. He's got 1 year left. If they give him a 3-year extension, right? That should put him at, before you start talking about, his future, that should put him at 33, maybe, right? 30. Where's Terry right now? I think Terry's 29, about to turn 30, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, that would put him at roughly 33 years old. Then you start talking about one more deal, maybe like Mike Evans in Tampa Bay, to ensure that he doesn't play a snap anywhere else. And again, you can't always, all of these NFL, of all the sports, NFL players rarely get happy endings. Pause. They normally have to go finish their careers elsewhere if they want to keep playing. How many stars and legends of the game had to finish their careers with a different color jersey that didn't look right? I mean, we can go through almost all of them, right? Unless you end your career prematurely due to injury, or you retire before, someone has to tap you on your shoulder and say, hey, the party's over. If you decide, I want to keep playing, normally you're going to have to do that somewhere else. Generally, guys don't get to hang it up where they're supposed to. It's always fun when that does occur. Terry should be a commander for life. Can't say that he will be, because they may get to age 33 and decide, we're out of the Terry business. And he might decide, well, I still got good football left in me. But for now, we don't have to consider that, because he's getting a contract extension to stay here. Now, on to the veggies, everybody. Enough depressing conversations about Liver and Terry and his contract, because he's not going anywhere. Let's get to dessert. Yeah. Adam Schefter put this out on his Twitter or X account, and it's everywhere now. The NFL has announced more Hard Knocks in December. They made it clear that they're going to do, because of the success of the in-season Hard Knocks with the AFC North last year, they're going to continue to do this every year now, and it's going to be on a rotating basis. So every 8 years, your division is going to be featured on Hard Knocks. So the AFC North was there in 2024, so they probably won't be back on in-season Hard Knocks to 2032, I'm guessing, or maybe it might be 31. Let's see. 24 they were on, so 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31. Yeah, 32. I know that's 8, but sometimes with years, it's a little weird, and you might actually end up being there a year earlier, but 2032. So because we're going to be on in-season Hard Knocks in 2025, we won't be on there again till 2020. Well, should be every 7 years, right? Because you're the 8th team. So the Hard Knocks for the Steelers, and that's what I was referring to, would be 2031. They would be up there next time, more likely than not. And for us, 2032. Again, if they go in the order that they're going in right now, right? Assuming they just keep cycling it over and over again, they could change it up. Once everyone's had a turn, they could decide, you know what? The team we had 6 years ago, let's say it's the AFC South. Let's say in 2034, they're on top now. They might decide to run them back. Who knows? I'm assuming they're going to be very last to do this because, again, outside of the fans that root for those respective teams, who cares about the AFC South? That said, forget about all of that. We up. The Jayden Daniels effect continues. Now, he didn't do this by himself. Obviously, this entire division has been on fire. This entire offseason, the NFC East has been on fire. With the Eagles winning the Super Bowl, with the Cowboys making a bevy of moves, including just trading for George Pickens, and of course, the Commanders being one of the centers of attention and, one of the spotlighted teams this offseason and going into the upcoming season because of one, Jayden Daniels, of course, the Jayden Daniels effect. And then the Giants are just the Giants, right? They're better, but they're being drug along in this whole scenario. They're really unimportant. They're just here because they have to be. No disrespect to the Giants, but what did I always tell you about that? When someone says no disrespect, or someone says no offense, and then there's a conjunction followed by a comma, every word after that, until there's a period, exclamation point, or the like, is disrespect. No disrespect to the Giants, but they're a non-factor right now. Anyway, this division has the most primetime games of any division in football. They're on television, they're everywhere, and it all makes sense now, right? This whole scheduling quirk thing that we saw from the Commanders, where we play 4 straight NFC East games to finish up the season. It all makes sense now. That week 16 game against the Eagles that's on a Saturday on Fox is a part of a doubleheader. It all makes sense. 2 games against the Eagles in the final 4 weeks of the season. Why would they do these things? Because we're on Hard Knocks, and that's when the camera crews will be there, right? The Hard Knocks doesn't start until you get to the month of December. So if I have you play the Eagles in November or October, they're not going to be able to catch that. So instead of you didn't think, like, the NFL meticulously plans everything. What did I tell you? And I said this 2 months ago. I said, I find it hard to believe that we won't be on the in-season Hard Knocks this year. I said, I don't think we're going to be on the training camp Hard Knocks. I don't think that's us. But I said, I'm telling you right now, there's not a division hotter than ours. I find it hard to believe that the NFL won't try and take advantage of the NFC East and the heat that's resonating from them right now. The heat that is coming off of this division right now, it's lethal amounts. They're going to take full advantage of it. And the schedule, I don't know why I didn't think about this when the schedule came out and why I didn't correlate it then, because it all makes sense now. It all makes sense. When you kind of look at it now, it all makes sense. We play the Eagles twice. We play the Giants and the Cowboys once apiece. So that's 4 for us. We play the Eagles twice, and the Eagles, I don't know if they have someone else in that time frame. I think they got the Giants twice early in the season. My guess is they've got us twice and the Cowboys once in that December, range. I got to look at the schedule. Let's pull it up. Let's pull it up. Let's see. I don't think I have it readily available, but I can make it readily available. So let's pull it up and see how many times the division plays against one another. We know we play 4 games in that stretch. Let's see. What it looks like. All right. So the Dallas Cowboys have a game against us, a game against the Giants. So they have two, and they got a game against Detroit. So that's a big one there on primetime. Oh, they also play the Chargers, and they have another primetimer against the Vikings. So they've got quite a bit going on in that stretch as we get to the end of the season. The Giants have a bye to start off December. Again, no one's going to miss them. They're simply a mere passenger on this ride. They have no input here. They can't ask us to turn the radio to anything. They can't ask us to make a stop so they can use the bathroom. You shut up and you just enjoy the goddamn ride. When we decide to pull over for gas, that's when you use the bathroom. Don't ask us to turn on nothing on the radio. Don't say shit. Just sit back there and shut up. That's the Giants' role, right? The Cowboys can ask us to stop to use the bathroom. They can ask us to put on, oh, that's my jam. Put that on. Turn that up. Giants don't say shit. Just shut up and enjoy the goddamn ride, right? They play us and they play Dallas late in the season. So they've got two. The Cowboys have two. The Eagles, they just have two. So we're the ones with 4 games in the division. Eagles have 2 against us, nobody else. They just missed their second Dallas game in that mix. But I'm guessing they're going to come in. The first episode might come in off that week 13 game. Cowboys have the Chiefs on Thanksgiving. We have the Broncos on a Sunday night. The Bears are going to be the Eagles' opponent on Black Friday, and the Giants are at New England on a Monday night. So we all have primetime games in week 13. All of us do. Sunday night for us, Black Friday for the Eagles, Monday night football for the Giants, and Thanksgiving for the Cowboys. So I think it's going to come in on that. Like, it's not going to be the whole episode. Like, it'll start with that. If you watched in-season Hard Knocks last year, then with the AFC North, then you'll know what I'm talking about. They might spend all of 5 minutes total on these games with these teams, just coming in, lead in to the episode, and then they'll start really focusing in on each team and the division as a whole. So I digress. So this is going to be a ton of fun, man. You get the behind the scenes access, which we get, bits and pieces of. And I think every organization gets bits and pieces of this with their respective teams. Because just about everybody's now doing some sort of, behind the scenes access that you give to your fan base by putting out episodes on your YouTube channel or your, on your team website, right? Everybody has one. Ours is called Commander's Log. Everybody's got some version of that. So this is just an extension of that. But what we don't normally get that you get on these in-season Hard Knocks that I absolutely love is you get some of these meetings, these team meetings, right? Where the whole team is sitting in a conference room and the coach, normally the head coach, is going through his spiel, right? Talking about the upcoming opponent. And you're hearing some of what is being said and what's being talked about. I will tell you that you also find out who has shit facilities when you watch this series, because they're inside of your facility. So if they haven't cleaned up some of our shit, it's going to, because when you watch the Ravens, that shit is state of the art, right? Everything looks brand new. You're like, wow, this is nice. And then you watch the Bengals and it's like, oh, okay. Looks like you're stuck in the 80s, but all right, nice. So you'll tell who's spending money on their organization, right? Ravens, state of the art. Bengals, not so much, right? So hopefully we're not out here looking like some cheapos, around here, even though they're gradually trying to upgrade, different portions of the building. Hopefully they made it to the conference room. And we've seen the conference room a couple of times when they talked to TFO and others. We've seen, little tidbits of the conference room. It doesn't look terrible. And when we get those little one-on-ones, when they're, focusing in on someone and they're talking, it doesn't look terrible, but you're going to get the full view of their conference rooms. Hopefully they don't look like trash. But I digress. The beauty of the series is you're going to get an in-depth look at what the week looks like. They're going to follow, more likely than not, a player or two from each organization. So, for instance, if you watch the AFC North Hard Knocks for the Steelers, they followed. They have two brothers on the team, Hayward, the Hayward boys, right? So they followed them to their home life. It was more about the defensive tackle Hayward. I don't know why I want to call him Casey. I know his name's not Casey Hayward. I don't know why I can't think of his first name right now. But it was really more about him. And then, his brother's on the team as well. So they followed him. With the Browns, they followed they did a little bit on Myles Garrett. Right, it was like co-leads for them. It was Myles Garrett, and there was also the corner from Ohio State. I can't think of his name either right now, but they followed those two. With the Ravens, I'm not sure if they followed someone in particular with that team. I think it might have just been that they picked their spots. They follow Lamar a little bit. They follow Derrick Henry a little bit, but I don't recall if they actually picked one person and kind of focused in on them. And then with the Bengals, it was Joe Burrow, right, and Jamar Chase. It was cool what Jamar Chase was doing. He was kind of helping his kid, and he brought him up to the facility, and he was teaching him how to gritty, and it was dope. So they kind of followed someone. So they're going to do that. I wonder who they're going to follow for the Commanders. I don't know. Just something to keep in mind. But if you didn't watch the AFC North Hard Knocks and you don't have HBO Max, you don't have to get it now. You don't need it now. You won't need it until next year. So if you don't want to pay the $10.99 or whatever the hell it costs up until you need it, I get it. But if you have HBO Max, be good to go back and watch just a little sliver. If you're not a fan of the AFC North, don't care about it, just watch an episode so you can get a feel for what it's going to be like. Right? That's what I would encourage you to do. But I saw this one coming a mile away. I really did. Because, and again, I should have seen it when the schedule came out. It didn't dawn on me to think the correlation between all of those divisional games for the Commanders late in the season, including, 2 against the Eagles in the third in the final 3 weeks of the season, right? That didn't dawn on me. I didn't in a Christmas Day game with the Cowboys. Like, really? Like, everything makes sense now, right? All of these primetime games aligning with the Commanders being a part of Hard Knocks with the rest of the division. The Eagles are, a big deal. Obviously, they just coming off of a Super Bowl victory. So you'll kind of get to see behind the scenes of the other organizations in the division as well. We'll get to see the dysfunction that takes place in New York. Hell, they may have a new coach and general manager interim by then, or at worst, their head coach and GM are hanging on by a thread, but we're going to get to see their rookie quarterback get an opportunity to get out there and play some games late in the season, more likely than not. So, again, it'll be beneficial if you're a fan, not just of this team, but the entire division. You'll get to see what it looks like in Philadelphia, right? What they're saying, what they're doing, right? You'll get to see what's going on in Dallas. We've seen Hard Knocks in Dallas multiple times over. So I don't think that's going to move the needle for any of us. Again, the beauty of this series, what makes this unique, why I enjoy this more than the training camp, is because the training camp series, you got guys on that roster then that won't even be a part of your roster when the season starts. They're going to follow a guy that's a long shot that won't even be there. They're trying to, have a storyline to follow someone that's, off the beaten path, that, has a, probably 5-1 odds, right, to make the team, 10-1 odds, 20-1 odds to make the team. Whereas you get in season, this is your roster, this is your group. We've gotten rid of all of the frivolous stuff, or as I like to say, the things that offer you empty calories. Like, we got rid of all of that. You're in season now. We're putting together a game plan. We're talking about the upcoming opponent. I used to love listening to Mike Tomlin talk about the upcoming opponent. You actually get to see how these coaches feel. Now, obviously, they still have control over what's being shown. They're not going to show something that's going to be derogatory towards the team. But, Mike Tomlin's like, yo, we got to stop this dude right here. Won't care nothing else about none of these other dudes. This guy right here. Got to stop him. We stop him, we got a chance to win, right? And that's what you want to have insight to. Like, they would go into some of these meetings, right? And, everybody breaks down into their individual groups. Linebackers have a room, safeties and corners have a room. Offensive line has a room, defensive line has a room. So they would break into their rooms, and, all these coaches are getting specific to the game plan of what we got to do this week to have us be successful. And I love listening to that as well. So you're going to see that, and you're going to be introduced to some of the coaching staff that you may not be as well versed in, right? Some of these guys that are unsung heroes that you don't hear their name very often, but they're doing a hell of a job as we see some of these players develop. And you're going to see some of these guys on Hard Knocks. So that's another really good part of this as well. So I love that we're going to be on Hard Knocks in season. And I think this is, if I'm not mistaken, because Buffalo's going to be on the off season, the training camp, Hard Knocks. They're not going to do the off season one anymore. That was a disaster. It was great theater and television for us, but it was devastating for the Giants. I mean, it couldn't have gone any worse for the Giants. So no team wants to expose themselves to that, right? So that's dead. However, the Bills being on Hard Knocks is the changing of the guard that we talked about, where now there are no restrictions. Anybody can be on Hard Knocks unless you've been there the last, I think it's 7 to 10 years or whatever. There's no more if you made the playoffs, if you got a new head coach. I think the new head coach thing still rings true, though. But no more if you made the playoffs in the last 2 years. That shit is gone. So now anybody can be up there, and that's why the Bills are up there. And I also believe if your team was on the in-season Hard Knocks, you are also subject to say no to Hard Knocks in the training camp version. So all 4 of these teams will not have to be on Hard Knocks training camp for the next, I think, 4 years, I believe. So we will continue to not be on that, and I don't have an issue with that, by the way. But the Jayden Daniels effect is real, folks. It's real. And again, he didn't do this by himself. This one is a collective divisional effort. The Cowboys are the Cowboys. The Eagles won the Super Bowl, and they're thriving, and so are we, because we got Jayden Daniels. And so you put those 3 together, the Giants are just along for the ride. Get in, buckle up, shut up. Don't say nothing. Don't ask for nothing. Just sit back there. We shouldn't even know that you're there. When this series hits, if the Giants, and again, somebody's going to be a surprise team this year. Someone's going to be a surprise team. It could be the Giants for all we know. It could be the Giants. Someone, just like we were, just like the Vikings did last year, is going to come out of nowhere. Now, the Vikings were the one, because you could see why we did it. We had Jayden Daniels. We had a transformational superstar end up in our lap at number 2 overall. And we knocked it out of the park. The Giants don't have that. But could they have what the Vikings had with Sam Darnold being in the perfect fit for his skill set with Russell Wilson? Highly doubt it after what we've watched from Russell Wilson each of the last 3 seasons. Highly doubt it. Okay. Brian Daboll likes athletically gifted quarterbacks who can run and are a threat to run the football. Right? So that's why they drafted Jackson Dart, because he's more athletic and he's mobile and he can do some of the things that they like their quarterbacks to be able to do. Russell Wilson isn't doing any of that. So I don't see the Giants taking the league by storm this year, but in the event that they do, they'll be on Hard Knocks. If they don't, they're in full shut up, sit down, don't say nothing mode, right? But they will have Jackson Dart late in the season, and that will give them, and I'm thinking the NFL thought about that too. Hey, if the Giants stink, we can feature Jackson Dart, right? Got a young kid in there. Their fan base will be clamoring to see him. We got something, right? If they're good, great. They add to what already is a dynamic division. If they stink, we still got Jackson Dart angle. We're good, right? Because it was tough with the Browns last year. It was tough, bro. When they were doing the Hard Knocks in season, AFC North, and you got the Bengals fighting for their life to try to make the playoffs, and Burrow was really getting like piping hot down the stretch and trying to carry those boys to the playoffs in some thrilling games, right? You got the Bengals, the Steelers and the Ravens battling out for AFC North supremacy. They were coming down home stretch, fighting for who was going to have the right to call themselves the champion of the division in 2024. And then it was just the Browns. They were like 3 wins. They sucked ass. It was tough. You would listen to the coach, Kevin Stefanski, talk about playing for pride. And, we got a chance to really be the deciding factor down the stretch. We play all these teams in the division. We got to say so. And who wins this division? Hey, that's cute, man. That's cute. Myles Garrett at practice talking about getting his sack numbers like shit. We asked, but I got a chance to do something no other player has done. Like, his focus was totally on individual stats at that point. I don't blame him. You never want to be that team on this show. So, good luck to the Giants to not be that team. The way they started off your schedule this year, though, report C. Looks like you probably will be in Jackson Dart territory by the time. Might even have a new coach and GM interim by the time we get there, but I digress. Let me get to my one super and then we'll get out of here. So, Door Gunner, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. My guy, Door Gunner, writes, liver up there with pineapple and no cheese pizza. That shit is way past there. You got to take 2,000 steps between beets and liver, because that's the slash, right? They one and the same to me. Beets, liver, and then you take 2,000 steps before you get to anything else. My pineapple with no cheese pizza ain't even on the list, bro. You tripping. That ain't even on the list. You somewhere in there, you get the cherry Kool-Aid, black cherry Kool-Aid and cherry Kool-Aid and all that nasty shit. Then you get down there to some of the shit you don't like. But pineapple with no cheese pizza is not even on the list. It doesn't even register, bro. What are you talking about? Come on. Anyway, I digress. That's going to do it for me, your man Louie T, here on this installment of the Command Post Live. I look forward to chopping it up with you guys tomorrow night live here on the show. We'll have a lot to talk about, including Terry McLaurin. We'll find out if this is a legitimate holdout or not. If he's not at practice tomorrow, and again, he could be under the weather, right? And they could have just told him, stay home, bro. Don't worry about it. We just got 2 days left. Get yourself together. Feel better. We'll see you for phase 3. right? Or, and trust me, these guys, these reporters will be all over this shit. We'll know. Somebody be like, hey, I reached out to somebody, whether it's John Keim or somebody. I reached out to somebody close to the situation. This isn't a holdout, right? He had an excuse, absence. Everything's fine. Go back to your normal, regularly scheduled programming. If not, though, we'll find out. And we'll talk about that tomorrow night, among other things. I got a bevy of topics to get to tomorrow night. So looking forward to seeing you for that. But of course, we've got the we've got the Commanders Kings tonight live over on the Commanders Kings channel. So be on the lookout for that. We'll be starting, somewhere in that 8:30, 8:45 range. And we'll be talking about these two topics in particular that we just talked about here and a host of other topics as well. So you do not want to miss that. But I digress. That's going to do it for me, your man, Louie T. Until next time, you guys have a good one. Take care. I think I did this already, but I'd rather be safe than sorry. Post up. Take command. You guys enjoy the rest of your afternoon, and I will see you guys later for the Commanders Kings. Peace.